Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of All the Mods 10. In this episode, getting a few steps closer to making the All the Mods star. As we're wrapping stuff up, we can see where we need to go here on our list of things to do. The plan for today is to get into the Forbidden and Arcanus mod. Actually, never mind. I'm going to change my mind. The plan for today is to get into the Just Dire Things mod. We need to get this Paradox Machine. There's two things we need out of this mod. We need Eclipse Ember Fuel for the Philosopher's Fuel. We need a Paradox Machine for the Black Hole. So there's a few reasons to get into this. I don't know that we need a Time Wand. I was pretty determined to not make one, but it would be kind of nice because I think the Time Liquid... Oh, it doesn't do anything. Yeah, so maybe we don't need to make that. Could make the bee though. I don't know that we need it. Yeah, so we're gonna do this. We're gonna automate some of the Just Dire things. In order to do that, I've created a new room by the reactors. There's now a new addition to the building. Nothing new, nothing special. It's the same design as all these other ones. This here, I think, is within a few chunks. Yeah, this is within a chunk. So I will build some of the stuff we need here. Primogel Goo, we can already make this because we already have Void Shimmer. And we already have this Blaze Bloom and Primogel. I'll still work through this progression just to show you guys what it's like. But I've already done this because of, I don't remember what other item I needed to make, so I just had already previously made it. Anyways, so let me get a cable over here. First thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna create a few Primogel Goos. For this mod, you place down these goos and then you feed it whatever it wants, and then you put whatever block you want on the outside of them, and it will create the next spread of the thing that you want. So like, for example, I want both Ferrocore and Primogel Goo. Primogel Goo is the first one, and then from there we want to make the Blaze Bloom, which I guess you could make it pretty much immediately out of this, so maybe we just do that. Oh yeah, we already have this too, so we could have just made this upgraded one too. Void Shimmer, and then from there you should just be able to make the next one if you have crafted these things or have found them. I think these ones I've stolen from the Deep Darks. But with this we should be able to craft literally anything we want, and then we can just automate it. We want to feed these Sculk, and I think Sculk is a recipe that we have on AutoCraft. Oh, but we can do this and get more. Let's make this recipe. So we want a Catalyst and then Sculk under an extractor. Our current extractor is giving us cobbled soulstone. We already have 300,000 of that, so yeah, let's replace this then. So here's the Sculk catalyst, here's the Sculk. It should give us Sculk. There it is. Should give us more. Yep. All we gotta do then is throw it into one of these and we'll start getting Sculk automatically. Back over here with the other direwolf stuff. How badly do we want to automate this stuff? I think we do want to automate a lot of this stuff. Okay, let me show you how this is made. So Ferrocore ore is made by placing iron near a goo that is activated with food. What does that mean? So you can see that these things are like flashing. It tells you what it wants, so it's like a Sculk block. It wants the Sculk catalyst, something like that. If you hold the Sculk in your hand and right click it, it will activate it. It'll look like that. And then if you place your block next to it, you'll see that the goo is like expanding to it. As this expands, this will turn into the block that you're looking for. And so we got the raw ferrocore here. And then from there you can break it. And you can just place more blocks. And so you get raw ferrocore. You can also make a bee, which maybe I'll do. That's not that hard. And then this is just a normal ore, so you can just throw it in your furnace and get ferrocore. So now why do I mention this? Because I want to automate this. So I have an export bus connected here. I want to export Sculk with acceleration cards into the router, and then I'm going to have a distributor module pointing to each of these clickers that I just placed down. These clickers are just placed down pointing, well, not pointing into, it doesn't matter if they're pointing, they're just next to the Primogel Goo here. Okay, I just realized that I've been recording footage that didn't work for us. Like it was just blank screen, but you could hear my audio. Let's kind of recap what I discovered and where we are now. Look, we're already kind of far. What I've discovered is that the clicker while it works and you can like adjust it, it's easiest if you just make it so that this line is facing the block. So what I did is I placed down a few blocks here. We'll take the simple clicker, and if you place it this way, you want to make sure that this target looking thing is facing the block you want, which is signified with this red line. So now it's facing this block here. So if I break it and place it down, you'll see that it gets fed like immediately. Yeah. The next thing is you'll see that I have 4 subnets here with wires coming out. And then on this side, I have a formation plane so that we can place whatever blocks we want down on this side. On the bottom is the import bus connected to a entangle block, which you can barely see, but it is that block right over there. And then the last thing is that on this side, we have annihilation planes, which are all enchanted fortune 7. So when we connect this to our system, all it will need to do is break the block for us. And then this is also connected to a storage bus with an entangle block, which is connected to a storage controller that I have over here connecting to some drawers. So, and then we have this storage controller connected to the main system. If I take some raw ferrocore from here, throw it in here, we'll start seeing that these start to break. They go into the system once this stuff gets fed. Yep, and it goes into the system. Some cool automation going on here. This could be more efficient if I also use this front cable. Like I could probably like remove this and find some way to power everything too. But just to make this simple, we don't need that many. Now something to note is that this ferrocore actually has a bee. So maybe that's more worth it than automating this. But there are other things that we need to automate using this that there are no bees for. Maybe it's still worth automating this. So just clicking this recipe here isn't going to work for us. We need to remove this and make sure we put 1 iron block, gives us at least 1 raw ferrocore, and then throw this in here. So then if we request 100 of this, it should give us 100 blocks, which will place down this many of these, and once these convert, will give us more of that. So this automation here is done. It works, and that's all that I care about. Okay, it's been a little while. I've been automating some of this stuff. This recipe for 1 Eclipse Ember block requires 5,000 coal. By the time this finishes doing that, it will take a really, really long time. So I really don't think that this is worth doing it that way. So what that means is that we need to make the bee. There's no way around it. I will make the bee. I love bees. Because we already have ancient bees, it's actually really easy to just convert them. And now we have Eclipse alloy bees. Whoops. The thing I'll struggle with now is that we need an Eclipse alloy block, and that's gonna take a long time. This right here is the last set of bees. Here's their Eclipse alloy block. We now have Blaze Gold, Ferrocore bees, Eclipse alloy bees, and Celesta gem bees. We'll be gaining more material slowly. While we're here, we should look at the time bee spawn egg. My guess is that this bee cannot breed. I guess we'll find out. But this recipe requires a bunch of different bee eggs. Some of them I have, so like the Celesta gem and the Eclipse alloy bees I have. I don't have the Sculk bee. Draconic bee I may have too. It's this bee that I'm a little worried about, and it's just a digger bee, which I don't have. Oh, that's so easy. Okay, here's a stone nest. We'll go ahead and try to get this bee to spawn. There we go. Let's see if we can get to breed. Yeah, there we go. Yep, just like it says, it's a chance, so I have to spam quick Sculk on it. Not too bad though. Here are those Sculk bee spawn eggs. That's 1 of 5. So there's our 4 Eclipse alloy bee spawn eggs, 4 Celesta gem bee spawn eggs, and then 2 Draconic bee spawn eggs. That should be all the eggs we need. Now we just need to work on time crystals, time fluid, that kind of stuff. For the time crystals, to get time crystals, I think you need this budding time crystal block. In order to do that, you need a budding amethyst. There's a few different ways you can get budding amethyst, like this works. This is kind of annoying. So my thoughts here, let me show you what I'm thinking. I'm gonna go to our mine, like in the overworld. Now that I'm in the mine, I'm going to look for something like this. This right here looks like amethyst. Okay, here we are. We're now here with an amethyst. What we're looking for is the budding amethyst. So budding amethyst, if you try to break this, you won't pick it up. So what you need to do is you need to put it in a cardboard box. Where did the one that I just saw go? Yeah, so here's a budding amethyst. We'll put a cardboard box on it and we'll pick it up and we'll have more budding amethysts. And over here, so what I'll do here is I'll go ahead and put the budding amethyst down and then break it. Yep, and it does convert it. So go ahead and place one everywhere. And this should give us a budding time crystal block. Yep. Now, I don't know if we can break this. I will try just to see. We cannot break it. That I expected. So we'll just do the same tactic and box it up. Now, I don't know how this block works, so I'm going to try something out. Here's a growth accelerator. Here's the resonant generator right up there. If we put this here, will this grow? Doesn't seem like it is. Okay, you see how this is blue? If I uncover this, it's green. And if you wait, you can see some particles happening here. Yeah, and then it does that. And it becomes blue. So what I found out is that this block needs to spend some time in every single dimension, being overworld, nether, and then in the end, and then it's good. Yep, now that they're finished here, I'm going to take them to the nether. Oh wow, it's very orange. It's kind of nice. Alright, so that's there. Let's go to the end and do the same thing. So here's that. Here's our growth accelerator. And then we'll go ahead and do our thing again. Yep, and then they turn green. I need a time crystal block, so I just need a bunch of time crystals. It's a shame that some of these break really fast. This one's done. It gives a whole cluster. What does breaking one of these not ready ones do? Nothing. Okay, now I see how this is done. Now that I've gotten this, I can start farming this and get our 16 so that we can get more of these blocks from the bee. Okay, it's been not very long actually, but I found out a couple things. So when it's dried out and you put a box around it, the clusters stay there, but if you break this block, it goes away. If you use the swapper from Just Dire Things to swap it from here to the other places, the clusters will follow, even if they're just partial clusters. That could be something to consider to use instead of the method that I'm doing here. What I'm going to do though is I need to make 3 blocks in order to make the bee, because it's 2 blocks here and then a 3rd block to be used as the flower. And it would be nice to have more than 1 bee, but we can do that as we get more. 26 time crystals now. We're missing just 1 to get a bee. The last piece we need for the egg here is the time fluid bucket. So time fluid, all we have to do here is, it seems like, just drop a time crystal in a polymorphic fluid and we should be good. So polymorphic fluid is also not that hard. It's this polymorphic catalyst inside of water. So I'm gonna make a little bit of this and grab a couple buckets of water. Don't know how this works. We'll find out. Oh, there we go. You just literally just drop it. Converts immediately. Don't know if I need this, but I'll pick up a bucket. Does this do anything cool? Oh, it becomes purple. I don't know what the purpose of that is, but this is all we need. Now if we have a time crystal and just drop it in, we should get the green fluid. Very cool. We'll pick this up and we have our fluid. With that, we can create our bee eggs. Should have more. Oh, we can't have more yet. Here's our time bee. Look how little it is. It's a tiny bee. Hopefully I don't lose it. We need 3 more, but we can grab those in a bit. 2 bees in a feeding slab. Alright, so I set that bee up. We're getting time fluid. If we look at this for a little while, we should see it grow eventually. You can't tell, but it's been like a minute already. Oh yeah, there we go. There it's going. Now we're getting time fluid automatically. We need to get more though. We need more bees. Alright, I have 5 time bees now. It's been a little bit of time. Why did I do this again? Oh, it's for this. That's right, to make a paradox machine. Here is our paradox machine. Now this machine is actually very cool, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. There's some really cool exploits we can do with this that I'm not going to do right now. Probably won't do it right now, I think. I'm pretty sure. I have a goal. But it gets us another step closer to getting the All the Mods Star. I don't really want one, but here is a time wand. It has no time fluid. How do I fill this with fluid? I don't know. Maybe I can just go over here and grab it. No. That's okay. I don't really care. because I'm not going to use it anyways. Make some cool noises though. I guess I should probably explain why I'm not going to use it. There's also the time in a bottle, which I probably could have crafted a while back. Like, this isn't hard. This is actually really easy. But I could have crafted that a while back, and I just don't want to use it because some of the other YouTubers that I see playing modded Minecraft don't use it. And the way that I value the use of it is that it's really nice as someone who is employed full-time 40 hours to be able to skip through some of the grind. But for a YouTube series, the grind is kind of the point, if that makes sense. The reason I haven't increased this is because this is doing its job perfectly for us. I only recently increased it because I don't know if I was lacking some ores, but I definitely needed to smelt some ores, and I was like, oh, I probably should just increase this quickly because I finally can. That was an improvement. That was like 30 episodes in. Like, I'm pretty sure I made this original farm in episode 2 and I didn't change it till like episode 30. So it took a while, and in my eyes, if I am needing to speed up the tick rate of a machine, I would much rather horizontally scale my machine than add tick rate to my machine, even though I'm playing single player. So I don't really care about like lag. Like, I'm not going to lag someone else out, I'm only going to lag myself out. I'd rather not have to worry about that. And it gives me peace of mind knowing that I've completed a YouTube series without using tick rate speeds. It's not a superiority thing. Like I said earlier, if you're full-time worker working 40 hours a week like I do too, it's best to use all of the resources you have, including tick rate speed up. But because I'm doing this as the series, I feel like I owe it to you, the viewer, to not speed up machines, and if I'm encountering an issue, to find some other solution to it, because that just makes it more interesting than, oh, this machine's going slow and I'm running out of warden hearts or something. And instead of just speeding up the machine and getting a bunch of them, I'll be like, oh, I can scale this, or I can go kill a bunch of wardens, or I can, I don't know, do something more interesting than just speeding up a machine. It feels way more interesting, at least to me. Maybe I didn't have to go on a whole rant for that. That is what I feel, and I'll take Paradox Machine off of our list of items we still need. All right, I know we're running way over time here, but I do want to get through all this direwolf things before the end. One of the things we need for the Philosopher's Fuel is a dark tank filled with 16 Eclipse Ember fuel. I didn't want to have to do this manually because the way you do this, you have to drop multiple different types of fuel. So you have to drop some sort of coal into some sort of fuel that is refined, and then you have to let it refine using a goo. Like this, you'll have to refine it. So I built this little automation here. This is really kind of dumb, but right over here we have the Eclipse Ember fuel. You can see that I have quite a bit because I've been letting this run and I've been AFK like all day. I have a pattern here which takes a water bucket and all of the fuels we need, and it will give us one Eclipse Ember fuel bucket. We need to use bucket to track whether or not we need to lock this pattern provider. I was trying to just use the fluid, but I can't detect if the fluid is being input into the pattern provider. I don't know why. I don't know how to do that, and I kind of didn't bother too much. So when I request a bucket of Ember fuel, what we'll see is that all of the items will go in here. This pipe here is pulling just the water bucket into a dispenser with a clock attached to it. From the bottom here, this is kind of a mess of wires, but you can see that I have a subnet over here so that all I can do is I can just import from the barrel, and I have a formation plane on this other side with an inverter card set to the bucket so that we don't pull the bucket and any blocks that it grabs are dropped as an item, meaning that things in this barrel here, so if I put these two fuels back in there, we'll see that they get dropped over here. The clicker here and the goo are very similar to over there. It's just a clicker with Sculk in it, and that's fine. I'm going to request another one. Let me show you what this looks like. And foremost, if I put the bucket of water in here, the bucket of water goes in the dispenser. The clock takes a little while because I don't want it to like pick up the water too fast for us. So there, it's put out the water, and then if we output these items, you can see that it converts into the next fuel, and then it'll like overlap or the goo will spread into it, and then it'll convert into the next water. And there's the Eclipse Ember fuel. So once this converts, on this side I have an annihilation plane in a different subnet where it has just an annihilation plane and a storage bus into a drawer that is locked with the Eclipse Ember fuel. That's an important step. Make sure you lock it if you do this. And then we have a fluid pipe going into a fluid tank. And the reason I do this is because that's how I get it into a bucket. There's probably easier ways. Once that's done, I can just import this into the pattern provider over here. So that's that. I also have to export buckets into this consistently, so that's what this does. And then in order for me to fuel the inventory consistently without me having to go do anything, I have a ME requester here, which will consistently request buckets of Eclipse fuel. So it'll start the process over there. As long as there's one Eclipse fuel in the system, it'll be fine. But the second that the Eclipse fuel is extracted right here into this fluid tank, it will go into the barrel, into this drawer, which is going into the system. It's really complicated, but it makes sense once you look at it. Or at least it makes sense to me. Maybe that's the issue, is it makes sense to me. And the last thing I did is I did double this because it was actually taking a very, very long time to do the automations that I wanted. So just more increase of stuff here. So here's an Eclipse Ember IV and an Eclipse Alloy IV, because that's pretty funny to me. But with that being said, I think we've gone way too long for this episode, so thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.